Hello, Eatontown, and welcome back to Eatontown Voices. If you care about our town, if you care about where our tax dollars go, and if you want to understand the big projects shaping Eatontown's futures, then tonight, this episode definitely matters because the March 11th Mayor and Council meeting covered some very big topics. We heard about a major lake and spillway infrastructure project, millions of dollars in federal funding, possible use of Netflix funds, electrical work at Gervais Park, environmental cleanup at a borough property, affordable housing ordinances, and even a new ordinance about billboards along Route 35 and Route 36. Now, before we begin, let's be clear about something. Our town leaders work hard. They volunteer countless hours, and many of the projects discussed are long overdue infrastructure improvements. But at the same time, healthy towns require transparency, discussion, and accountability. And sometimes the most important thing that we can do as residents is simply ask, are we getting the full picture? Let's walk through the meeting together. Segment 1. The lake, dam, and spillway project. One of the biggest topics discussed was the condition of the lake, spillway, and dam. The borough engineer from T&M Associates explained that 2022 inspection report found several problems. The dam itself was described as being in a poor condition. Concrete deterioration, structural concerns, and perhaps most concerning, the sluice gates, which control water levels in the lake, were described as inoperable. The engineer explained that the dam was originally built in 1954 and many of the systems are now showing their age. Now, to the borough's credit, the town is actively designing improvements. The purpose projects could include dam repairs, shoreline stabilization, ADA accessible walkways, replacement bulkheads, possible fishing piers, infrastructure improvements, and improved flood protection. These are good ideas, and improvements like these can make our park safer and more enjoyable. But during the meeting, something else became clear. This project may be much larger than originally expected because alongside the dam repairs, the borough is also discussing sewer infrastructure upgrades, pump station improvements, possible fire hydrant installations, electrical improvements, lighting upgrades, and additional park amenities, which raises an important question for you and I, the residents. Not an accusation, just a question. How big is this project actually going to become? Segment 2, the funding question. The mayor explained that the borough previously secured federal fundings, originally $2 million for phase 1 and $3 million for phase 2. But after federal budget changes, that second phase funding was reduced. So today, the borough has about $3 million in federal funding for the project. Now that sounds positive, but during the meeting, something interesting actually happened. When discussing the remaining costs, the mayor said he preferred not to state the shortfall publicly yet. And again, maybe that's strategic. Maybe they are finalizing numbers. But if residents are expecting to support a major infrastructure project, isn't it fair to ask, what is the full projected cost? Is it $5 million, $6 million, $8 million, $10 million? And if the grants do not cover everything, where will the remaining money come from? The mayor suggested one possible source. Here it is, the Netflix redevelopment funds. Again, that $47 million. Now that raises another interesting question. How much of the Netflix money might eventually be used for this project, or DPW, or the firehouse, or the municipal building? Residents deserve to know because those funds belong to the people of Eatontown. Segment 3, Gervais Park electrical work. Now, another item added to the agenda was electrical work at Gervais Park. The council approved a contract for about $48,592. The reason it was added so quickly because the contractor and the utility company needed immediate approval to move forward or they're going to move on. Now, that makes sense operationally speaking, projects often require time and coordination, but it still raises a simple question residents should always ask. Were all the details fully clear before the vote happened? During the discussion, there was even a moment of confusion about the exact contractor structure. Was the work through T&M or through MRC Recreation or through a subcontractor? Again, no accusation, just a reminder that clarity matters when public money is involved. Segment 4. Environmental cleanup at the DPW site. The council also approved funding for environmental testing at the DPW recycling facility on Lewis Street. Years ago, an oil tank leak contaminated groundwater on that property. Now, the borough is trying to close out the environmental case. Additional testing will cost about $33,000, and if the results come back clean, the borough may finally be able to remove environmental restrictions on that site, which is good. But it also reminds us of something. All environmental issues do not disappear overnight. They take years to resolve, and they cost money, a lot of money, which again raises a simple question. How many other legacy infrastructure or environmental issues are still out there waiting to be addressed? Segment 5, billboard ordinance. Another major discussion involved billboards along Route 35 and 36. The mayor warned that with redevelopment and increased traffic, advertisers might want to install billboards along those corridors. We've heard that on the last meeting and, of course, this one. According to the DOT spacing rules, there could be potentially between 20 or more billboard locations along the highways if the town did nothing. So the borough is proposing a new ordinance. It would allow only 2 billboard structures within a limited commercial zone. The goal is to prevent the highway from becoming what the mayor called the billboard alley. Now, this is an example of something positive. The council is trying to control development before it becomes a problem, but residents should still ask, where exactly would those billboards be located? Would they be static? Would they be digital? Would they be visible from residential neighborhoods? And once the door opens for 2 billboards, could that eventually become 4 or 6? These are fair questions because once a billboard goes up, it usually stays there for decades. Segment 6, strategic planning and staffing. Another interesting topic was the idea of creating a municipal strategic plan. Councilwoman Jones discussed the need to plan for the future. Possible topics included infrastructure investment, municipal staffing, the future municipal building, and potentially hiring an IT department or communication staff. Planning ahead is smart. Modernizing government services is important. Please let that happen. But again, residents should ask the same simple question they always should. What will it cost me? And more importantly, what are the priorities? When towns grow quickly, careful planning becomes essential. Fiscal responsibility becomes a must. Segment 7. A resident raised questions and concerns. During public comments, a resident raised concerns about drainage and property damage near Reynolds Drive. The mayor explained the borough is working on redirecting storm water as part of a redevelopment agreement with the Old Orchard project that may ultimately solve the issue, but it also highlights a reality every town faces. Infrastructure changes affect real people, real homes, real neighborhoods, which makes transparency even more important. So what does all of this mean for Eatontown? The truth is, our town is at an important moment. Major redevelopment, major infrastructure decisions, major financial questions. And that's not a bad thing. Growth can be positive. Investment can improve quality of life, but good governance requires 2 simple things: strong leadership, not just appeasing to everybody, and public awareness. So we need to know everything so that the next time you hear about a big project, ask questions respectfully, constructively, but confidently. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared, and definitely don't buy the hype. Ask questions like, what is the full cost of the project? What portion is covered by grants? What portion might come from me, the taxpayer? What portion might come from Netflix redevelopment revenue? And what will the final result mean for the future of our town? because informed residents are the foundation of a strong community, not an intimidated one. And that is exactly what Eatontown Voices is here to encourage. If you found this helpful, share it with your neighbors, because the more people who understand what's happening in our town and why there is very, very little communication, the stronger our community becomes. This is Eatontown Voices. And together, let's keep this conversation going. Feel free to comment your questions right in this very same post, in this very same video. I'd love to give you the sources of all the data that we are sharing and getting our information from. Till next time, have a good night, Eatontown.
Still marketing your business like it's the Yellow Pages era? Welcome to ME Studios, where local solopreneurs and small business owners catch up with the digital world and take over it. We help you go from invisible to undeniable. Featured on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Plus, gain press exposure in over 100 to 300 major media outlets like Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, and the CW. Right here in Eatontown, New Jersey, just steps away from the soon-to-be Netflix studios, our multi-unit facility is built for creators, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Stop marketing like it's 1995. Start building your digital authority today with a team that gets it.